Welcome to this edition of Love from a Distance, where we turn from the chaos in the world to the love in our hearts. And we have a special edition of Love from a Distance this month. We're excited to announce that each episode this month will celebrate African American music appreciation. So whether you've joined us through our virtual audience or today, or you're watching via live stream, we encourage you to revel in this celebration of a rich musical history that has taught the world so much about resilience, about courage, and most importantly, yes, about love. So what better time to celebrate than right now? Here to celebrate right along with me, as usual, is my lovely co-host and friend, Iyanla Vanzant. Hey, Iyanla.
Happy Sunday. Happy African American Music Month. Happy Revolution. You do know we're in the middle of a revolution, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was just me. I thought it was just the old Black Panther in me.
It's actually kind of exciting to me that we are getting to witness this generation take to the streets.
Yes.
There are those who would have thought that maybe they didn't have it in them, but they are proving to absolutely be warriors for peace and important messaging.
I go back to Doobie Brothers. You don't know me, but I'm your brother. Imagine if that's what George Floyd's spirit is saying to us. You don't know me, but I'm your brother, because these young people have taken it to the streets, and I'm just excited.
You know what, Iyanla, I think the thing that just excites me but touches me deeply is that Black folks are being acknowledged across the world. Where we have wanted someone, and certainly in this country, for 400 years to say, we see you, we acknowledge that you do indeed matter. And when we couldn't get that from our police force, here in this country, we turn on the TV and we've got London, we've got China, we've got people all across the world marching as though what happens here is as important to them as it is to us.
Well, it is. I mean, for me, when the Amish came out, I knew the jig was up. The Amish don't even turn lights on. They were standing there with Black Lives Matter signs. But that's what time it is. It's the 21st century. We're 20 years in to the 21st century. I have a lot of compassion, particularly for men right now, because really the masculine energy is being dismantled. So I keep checking in on men because there's just a lot of masculine energy, and it's really kind of imbalanced. So the feminine energy is taking over, and there's going to be something new is getting ready to get born, because the feminine energy of love and compassion and peace and grace and mercy, those things are pregnant with possibility. And the young people, they hold the energy for it. I went out, I think it was Wednesday. I went down to the march in DC the day after they gassed the poor people. And I just got as close as I could and gave out water and mask. And when I saw them without a mask, come here, baby, come get a mask. Put a mask on. Because they were out there with no mask on. And I just gave out water. And then finally one of the youngins, she said, oh my God, that's Iyanla Vanzant. Come here. Iyanla Vanzant is giving us water. I said, I didn't bottle the water. I bought it. Yeah, it's far. It's not special water. I just want you to have some water. I had 8 cases of water, 8 cases of 24. It
That
was
is
gone in
beautiful.
15 minutes. 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really excited, and I pray over them every day. Just hold the light so that, because we are in the middle of a pandemic, and a lot of them, with their invincible selves, they're out there with no masks on.
So for people who might not know what that looks like to you, what does it look like? What do you mean when you say you pray over them every day?
Well, I start my prayer. My first prayer is at 5:30 in the morning, and I just visualize. I visualize the city. I visualize people. I visualize energy, and I just send it out. And then throughout the day, I literally stand in front of the television like this, and I just send out light and energy. I call in the angels, the ancestors, um, and because everything is energy and it's all thought. And if that saved one person from getting gassed or shot or run over, of course, by I think the funeral was Thursday. By then, everybody was pieced out and they were drumming, not because I was praying, but just because the energy is there. And fewer people got hurt and harmed. And most of the cities now have pulled the National Guard out. But that's how the thing that I really want people to be aware of is, even in the reporting and of the uprising, or whatever they want to call it, I've been saying, oh, this is not a riot. I've been in a riot. This is not a riot. The thing is that this country was built on protest and revolt. They called the Boston Tea Party a historical event because white folk did it. And they called this, because it's on behalf of Black people, they call it a riot and a protest. It's not a protest. It is an uprising. It is a revolution. And so hopefully this will become a historic event because it's multicultural, multiracial. So we just need to be mindful, because those who control the words and images control the minds of the people. So I can't tell you how many of my white friends have called, why are they protesting? I said, they are not protesting. They are standing. They are standing for something. They are standing against something. Yeah, they're protesting ill treatment, but they're birthing something new.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that anyone who watched the murder of George Floyd, they could not really rest with their soul. Something would just not feel right in the soul if you weren't disturbed and wanted to stand up and do something. So I am proud of all of us who are standing up and doing whatever it is we can, even if it's just reaching out to someone else and trying to have a better understanding of what's going on.
They're disturbed about what happened with George Floyd. They also need to be disturbed about police slamming people to the floor, tasing them. They attacked an Australian cameraman. He was sitting on a box. So and that's the masculine energy, that aggressive energy that I'm talking about. I'm not even looking at individuals. I'm looking at just the energy. That's the masculine. That's the planet Mars, and it's just aggressive. So we need to be disturbed about all of it. And people's eyes are open. I lift George Floyd's spirit every morning, and I say, thank you. We owe him a debt. We owe him a debt of gratitude, because he, like his daughter said, Daddy changed the world. Yes, baby, he did.
Yeah. Let's give a shout out to Reverend William Barber's Poor People's Assembly on June 20th from 1 a.m. to 6 p.m. Join people of every race, creed, sexual orientation, and immigration status at the largest digital and social media gathering of poor and low wealth people, moral and religious leaders, advocates, movie and TV actors, and people of consciousness from every corner of America. SpeakerBots Media and Love from a Distance crew firmly stand in solidarity with Reverend Barber in this fight against economic equality. So we just wanted to make sure that we let our audience know that that's happening on June the 20th, and to please join us as we join and support Reverend Barber in his initiative to equality for economic equality.
And let me tag on that by saying that on July 7th, it's starting to gain momentum now. They were really trying to wait till after Mr. Floyd's funeral. That July 7th is an economic blackout in this country. And people are being asked from 12:01 midnight until 11:59 on the 7th of July, do not spend $1, not one. If you need some bread, get it on the 6th. Do not spend not one penny. And there's some debate about whether we're supposed to be on social media or not. But right now, it's just pull your money out. Pull your money out.
That's July.
That's everybody's attention. July 7th.
So we will certainly remind our audience every week between now and July 7th, and we'll also remind you about June 20th as well. So do we have any shout outs?
Well, you know who's in the house. You know Brooklyn is in the house. ATL is in the house. Chi-Town is in the house. Canada's in the house. Boston's in the house. Alabama's in the house. Philly, Be More. Detroit's in the house. I'm just glad some people are in the house because I thought everybody was out in the march. DC is in the house. Bronx, Boogie Down Bronx is here. North Carolina, South Carolina, New Mexico is in the house. So yeah, we have our normal gang all here. So welcome. We're loving on you from a distance.
For sure. Well, today's guest is a multi-hyphenated, multi-talented recording artist who has had a meteoric rise, they say, but I saw her perform when she was 10 years old on the Today Show. She is singer, songwriter, musician, who methodically revealed herself to the world in a fashion that garnered love and respect for the pureness of her art, while also transcending identity. Her name is H.E.R. An acronym that stands for Having Everything Revealed, and I can't wait to talk about that. Here to reveal a bit more about herself and to tell us how she is using her well-known identity to advocate for justice is Grammy Award-winning artist H.E.R. Welcome to Love from a Distance, H.E.R.
Thank you.
How are you? Such a huge fan. I remember I did see you on a Today Show. I just can't believe that was 12 years ago. You getting old, Tina.
Oh no.
Yeah. But a huge fan. This is my personal question. How many instruments do you play?
I feel like I've been learning a new one every once in a while. I try to pick up a new instrument, but mainly 4 instruments. I play guitar, bass, drums, and keys.
Yes, and I've seen you play all of them. Just divine. So tell me, my beloved, we'll talk about your music and stuff, but you one of the youngins. So I want to know, what do you see, sense, feel, think about everything that's going on right now in the world?
Man, I mean, I feel so many different things, honestly. I've been a little bit conflicted with everything going on, just like trying not to be anxious, trying to be positive, trying not to be overwhelmed, and, also making time for myself and, making time to pay attention to what's going on and also stay sane. So I'm proud of my generation. That's number one. I think that's one of the biggest things right now. And I think my biggest thing is just trying to do all that I can. I like to move in silence a lot. I don't like to, brag about the things that I do to help the community, but I've definitely been doing a lot to try to help just in any way that I can now that I have this platform.
Where do you think we're?
I have to tell you that I visited your Instagram page, and one of the most powerful posts was that very, very long list. I think it had over 100 names of people who have been killed by the police. And looking at that list was like standing in front of the Vietnam Wall for me, because I don't think that sometimes the massiveness of the destruction and the purposeful destruction of our community can sometimes, sometimes I've been disconnected from it because it wasn't right in my face. And
Right, exactly.
and this time is actually teaching me how important it is to remember that it has to be right in front of my face, because that's the
Yeah, and
only.
that's the thing. That's the thing about this generation is, we've heard a lot of history. We hear about, the civil rights movement. We hear about, the Black Panthers, but we don't fully understand, what it is. And I think what's happening now is us being more connected to that, more connected to our history. And I always say you can't understand today without understanding yesterday. So I'm proud of that. And I know that people are posting, stats and numbers from back then and what was going on back then, and they're more connected. So
Where do you think we're headed, Her? I mean, we're in the streets right now. You guys are in the streets. I say you guys, I've been out there too, but you're in, where are we headed? Because my thing is always, okay, what's the ask? What are we asking?
Right.
So what are you hearing down there on the ground?
It's tough. I'm hearing a lot of different things. What I do know is that it's more than just, what we're doing on a daily basis is more important than what we're doing, now. What we continue to do will matter more than what we're doing right now, which is the constant reminders, because the bigger picture here is mentality and changing people's mentality, and also changing things in the system and us becoming leaders. So this is a, how should I say, like a long-term plan. This isn't just this year only with everything going on. Like, we have to continue this on. Like, it's a revolution, but it's going to be for the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah. And for you personally, I mean, I know how you do it. I've heard you do it, but talk to me about how you use your music to move and inspire people for the long haul.
It starts with being selfish and talking about your own feelings and emotions, and not trying to, peek into the minds of others, because at the end of the day, I think we all kind of feel the same about love and compassion and what needs to happen. So it starts with you. It starts with me just sitting down and thinking about how I've been processing this and writing that down, and kind of speaking for my generation, because I am my generation, and just having that personal, honest moment with the pen and paper.
And you've always said that about your music. Almost every interview that I've seen you in, you say you just want to be authentic, and you just want to use your music to tell your story. So
Absolutely.
the other day I was watching in Minneapolis, and I guess the crowd just kind of melded together, and they started singing "We Shall Overcome." And I said, no. Every time I see one of you youngins, I'm going to say, which one of y'all is going to write the new anthem? Because okay. So if you could write the anthem today,
yes.
that "We Shall Overcome" was, what would your anthem be today? Because we need something besides "We Shall Overcome." I love it, and it's wonderful, but enough.
I actually have some songs in the works right now. Since I've been able to digest what's going on, I've been writing with my guitar. So I just might have your "We Shall Overcome" here in a second.
Okay, we gotta, and it's gotta come from y'all, because you just hold the energy different. Tell me what your creative process is, beloved. What is your creative process?
It's all over the place. I do like to talk to whoever I'm collaborating with, or I just like to talk in general and have the conversation, whether it's to myself, like, when you're talking about your problems and then you kind of work it out as you're speaking about it, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, because I was feeling this and I was feeling that, and that's kind of how the song writes itself. But I like to start with chords sometimes and find what sounds really good and what feels good, and what lyrics just make sense over the music.
Yeah. Because I know every creative has their process. Like I write books, I still write pencil to paper. I don't,
Yeah.
my books on the computer. I've got
It depends.
spiral. Huh?
Yeah, it depends. I like to write on my computer sometimes. I like to write on pen and paper sometimes. It depends on if I want to be disconnected. But I do love to listen to a lot of music too. I reference a lot of my favorite artists like Stevie. Like, what would Stevie do? You know, or even Bill Withers or, you know, Prince. Like, those are my favorites. Lauryn Hill.
Yeah, I was going to ask you,
Have
who are your
a-
parents in music? When you look into music, who do you look to? Who do you hold on to? So Stevie, Lauren, Prince.
Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely my favorites. Alicia Keys, Aretha, Donny Hathaway. That's like my playlist, honestly. D'Angelo, Jill Scott. Those are like my favorites.
Yeah.
is there sort of like an underlying intention in your music and your messaging? Can you like articulate what that might be?
You know, it's changed over the years. Obviously, I'm only 22, and my gift, you know, that I think God gave me, and that I've, sorry, no offense, you know, I'm just saying.
I tell you, I got underwear older than you.
No, you know, over the years, I think my purpose is constantly changing, or I'm discovering new purposes, I should say, and I'm discovering new things about myself that give me fulfillment. And, you know, like I said, music has always started off being a selfish thing. I just love to write, and it's like a personal connection I have with my guitar at the end of the night when I'm playing, you know, on the edge of my bed and I'm writing songs or poetry. I love poetry. But I guess, you know, as I've gotten more popular, my music has gotten more attention and listeners. I've found that people say things like, "Oh wow, your music saved me. It helped me get through this. It helped me be more comfortable with who I am." And I think I've started to say things that people are afraid to say, or things that sit in the back of people's minds. And so, you know, that was one thing, was that I could be a voice for my generation. And then I realized, you know, I'm so many other things other than like R&B. You know, there's so many different influences in my music, and there's so many different messages that I have to say. So, you know, I like to say people like Stevie and Bob Marley and Prince, they could make you sing, they can make you want to fall in love, make you, you know, want to be sad, make you want to dance. And I think music is healing. And if it makes you want to do all those things, then that's it right there. But my message, I guess, is just for people to be authentic and to say the things that they're really feeling, and to say the things that might be sitting in the back of their minds.
Let me ask you this, because this is always my concern about young people. You went from, you know, I know your Disney stuff and your youth stuff, and now you're famous. Did you know you were famous?
Not really. I don't know. It's not really something you like process, you know?
Yeah, but
It's kind of
okay.
tough.
So, but how do you feel the pressures of being famous? Because I know even as a writer, once you write a bestseller, they think everything from there on has to be a bestseller. So, are
Right.
you feeling the pressure of being famous?
Sometimes I do have those moments, and I'm already a perfectionist. So the thing that helps me is just reminding myself, number one, right? Number one, don't look at what other people are doing, you know, and the only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. So, you know, only you should, I mean, people can say how great you are or how great something is, but only you know your greatest potential. And at the end of the day, it's really about your happiness with your product at the end of the day, not what somebody else is going to think about it. But, you know, my music is like my baby, so I have to love it. And if I'm making it for somebody else, then that's when it's going to lose the authenticity. So it's really just about trying to make good music. Like I do have those moments, you know, towards the end of like making my project. I'm like, oh man, I need to make a record like this. It needs to sound like this. It needs to, you know, do this, and it's not perfect, and these lyrics need to be better. And it's like, no, just chill and make good music. That's what got me here in the first place. Like you can't forget what got you there in the first place, you know?
Was it shocking to you? I mean, because it really did happen quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happened quickly from the time I dropped my project, but what people don't see is the you know, the 12 years, the 15 years that was put in before I dropped the project. So it definitely was like, whoa, I'm doing this. I got a Grammy, I got 2 Grammys, I got, you know, I performed with people like Aerosmith and Sting, and those were all things that made me really feel like, wow, like I'm really doing exactly what I wanted to do. I just didn't expect. You can never be prepared for when it really happens. You know, you can never really, you know, prepare for that. It's just crazy.
You know, in a couple of interviews that I've seen, people have spoken about your confidence. And certainly that was a topic of conversation when you're sitting in front of that piano at 10 years old.
Yeah.
You know, I'm wondering if there's any way for you to sort of articulate what is happening inside of you where your confidence is concerned.
Man, honestly, I try to figure it out all the time. I've always been like kind of sure of myself in a way. And, you know, people always say, oh, you're so mature. And I'm like, really? You know, what does that even mean? And, you know, you're an old soul. Sometimes it feels like I've been here before or something. And, you know, I just love to hang out with my dad and his, you know, bandmates. I love to hang out with musicians. And I don't know what it is. It's that I've always been sure of myself. And number one thing, my foundation, my support, you know, my parents really, they lifted me up. Like my mom was encouraging me and putting me in every single talent show and she wasn't pushing me, but she knew that I really was dying to do this and that I love to do it. So she was just always encouraging me. My dad, same thing. He always told me, you can do anything. Like, you know, my mom, she was like, hey, learn this song by A Taste of Honey, Boogie Oogie Oogie. And I was like, Mom, this is a bass driven song, when I was like 7 years old or 8 years old. And she was like, okay, let's go get you a bass. You know, so it started with that support system. And even now, today, I've got a great group of people that I love, that I've known since I was like 11 years old. And they've just uplifted me so much and helped me embrace who I am. And, you know, it does start with you. You know, you have to see people's intentions and you have to make sure you're happy at the end of the day. Because if you're living for somebody else, then you're not going to be confident in who you are. You got to live for yourself and what you want and know what you want.
And you're, you know, I hate to keep driving it home, but you're just so young, poor little thing. So how do you keep your youngness happy? You know, I mean, beyond the music, I know you love the music the way I love teaching. But what do you do just to be 22? What's your favorite ice cream? And what's your favorite
I do love ice cream. I love reptiles. That's something I love to do. And I don't know, I'm kind of adventurous. Like I love being in nature. I don't know. If it's not music, I'm doing something random and crazy, like going to Jamaica and riding jet skis or something, or playing with my little sister who's 13 years old, you know, and just, I don't know, just having fun.
Don't lose that part. You know, don't lose that part. You know, my grounding element in my life is law and order. I have to have my dose of law and order. And they don't come on anymore. So you're like, today it came on at 11. It'll be on to 1 o'clock in the morning. When I'm done with y'all, I'm taking my Haagen-Dazs ice cream and getting into bed with Jack McCoy.
Oh, right. That's me in my Nintendo. I like to play video games at the end of my day, so that's me.
Yeah, that's me. Just off.
Just keep that part of you grounded, because you got a long way to go, you know, and you know the industry will eat you up and spit you out.
Absolutely. So
when you talk about authenticity and confidence, I'm really, really glad to hear that. And you have siblings?
Yeah, I have a little 13-year-old sister.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. I bet she's a pain in the neck, right? No.
She used to be. She used to be. As we got older, we got a little closer. But when she was born, I was like, yeah, a sibling. And it was like, oh no. She turned 2, 3, wanted to come with me everywhere. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. The older I
Yeah.
get, more and more I appreciate my sisters. You know,
Hmm.
it didn't happen until I was in my 20s, but it has gotten the love has grown every year since then. Truly.
Yeah. I
Well, we've
lost
got
it.
people who would like to ask some questions of
Yeah.
you. So how about if I go to our chat and here is a Q&A. Is your younger sister interested in music?
Yes, actually, I mean, she does it in her own way. You know, I don't want to put that pressure on her, like she's got to be a singer or anything, but she's has perfect pitch, actually. She was born with it. And she's in drumline at school. She's really, really dope, and she plays a bunch of instruments. She's in her band, she plays the baritone. She's a producer. She's actively doing a lot of stuff in music and kind of on her own time, but she's super gifted.
A
What?
beautiful, beautiful family.
Let me ask you a question before you ask another question. Tell
Uh-huh.
me about the first time you opened your mouth to sing and realized you had a good voice. That is always so amazing to me because I open my voice to sing and it's not a good thing.
Crack notes
I
come out. Right?
see. I
Tell me
have this
about
tape.
how did you know, huh?
I have this old tape. My aunts recorded me, and I was singing "London Bridge is falling down," and I was singing it well, and I was only 3, and they were making a beat in the background and gassing me up, and so I was like, okay, I must be pretty good at this, you know, as a toddler. And I still have it. I gotta find it, but definitely was when I was really, really young.
That's beautiful.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
we've got someone asking, what has been your favorite collaboration?
Ooh, that's tough, honestly, because every collaboration I do, like I have to, it has to be special to me, and I think each one that I've done has been special to me. But I think the one that transcends is Best Part with Daniel Caesar. That collaboration was just so, we didn't know what we were doing. You know, we didn't know what we had at the time until after we made it, you know, and listened to it a bunch of times. It was like, wow, we made something really special. And, you know, people of all ages, all around the world are always telling me, like, that song, you know, it just does something to me. People have, you know, played at their weddings. An old man said, this reminds me of my wife. We've been married for 15 years, and just things like that with that song.
Wow.
I'm curious, is there a verse that is like one of your favorite of all verses, whether it's your song or someone else's song? Is there a verse that just you
Ooh,
love?
that's really tough. It would be any Stevie Wonder verse, honestly. um, I don't know. That's kind of a tough question because there's a lot of songs I wish I wrote, like "Free" by Denise Williams. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. Whispering in his ear, my magic potion for love. I wish I wrote that. Like, I don't know why. It's so special to me.
Excuse me, but isn't it older than you? Isn't that song older than you?
So,
Someone's asking, who did the guitar painting behind you? Do you
oh
know the
my
artist?
gosh. Yes, this artist, his name is Jaron. I gotta get his Instagram, and maybe I'll post that later on. But his name is Jaron. I believe he's from New Orleans. He's amazing.
Fantastic. Um, how do you remain authentic to your art and yourself in an industry that often pushes artists to be commercial?
Yeah, that's my
Uh,
question.
I'm not a fan of doing what other people want me to do. One of my nicknames, you know, for people that know me, is a tyrant, and I kind of just I kind of do what I want, so that would never work. I don't really take no for an answer, and I've always had a bunch of people around me who have embraced who I am and helped me, like I said, just help me be me and be the best me. And I've it's not that I'm, perfect and I don't have those moments of doubt or that I don't have those moments of like, am I doing the right thing? But you have to pay attention to when doing what you do is actually pushing you forward, and keeping those people who are always going to be honest with you, and let you know when that wasn't good, or you're messing up, or you're not being yourself, you're not being who you are, and you just need those little reminders.
Yeah, your
And
village is very important. They have to be
Exactly.
that ear, that voice in your ear that says, "Well, you check yourself. You need to check yourself
Yep.
before you wreck
Exactly.
yourself." Okay.
It takes a village.
and we have someone asking for you to talk about your experience with Skip Marley.
Oh
Mm.
yeah, Skip. He's so talented. I mean, he reminds me so much of his grandfather. It's unreal. That family, they're just amazing and full of energy. The song, I was just honored to be on the song because I think he's really amazing. And yeah, the video shoot was fun. He's one of my good friends.
Mhm. And what's one of your desires for your future? One of your
Ooh,
dreams for
those
your future?
change all the time. Like you said, I'm so young. But one of the biggest things lately is just getting into TV and film. I love acting as well. So I've just been working on some scripts and some ideas for some shows and just exercising that part of my creativity, movies and film. And that's definitely one of my biggest desires. And yeah, just continue to make good music and hopefully be on tour again soon. That's one of my
I
biggest
know
desires right
but everything is changing. The industry's changing. Television. We don't know how we're going to do TV, movies, concerts, all of it. So, yeah, we're waiting to see.
now.
All right. Lights on festival still scheduled? What does that
Yes,
mean?
oh
Light?
my gosh. So I'm actually, I think, the first Black woman to officially own her own festival. And I did it last year in 2019. And, ownership is very important. And shout out to Live Nation for even, giving me the idea and helping make that happen and being a partner with me and my team. Like I said, it takes a village. So we did it in September, sold out 14,000 people in the Bay Area, in my hometown. And I was hoping that we could do it this year. I'm still trying to figure out a way that it could happen, but we'll see. I don't know what the rest of the year looks like.
I know none of us do.
Yeah.
But wonderful to own a festival. That is
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing. I just want to pick your brain. I mean, because my brain is a little atrophied on the left. So, but how can you sing, play 4 instruments, have a festival? You want to act? You want to do movies? I'm tired just talking to you. I need some
Listen,
Geritol.
when you love what you do, it's not work.
That's right.
It's true.
Beautiful.
It's really true.
You
So,
know,
Yeah.
when you put in extra hours, it can be a little tough sometimes, but at the end of the day, you love it.
Yes, that's
someone is,
exactly right.
it's true. It's like just getting up, breathing. Someone
Mhm.
is asking about girls with guitars.
Yes. Girls with guitars. Go ahead.
They want to know. They want you to tell them how that got started and who put it into your heart.
Man, I mean, it was something that me and my team, management, we're all very close and we all collaborate together and just we're super creative. So, obviously, I've always been a girl with a guitar, and I've always felt like one of the only girls that play guitar, and I was always really rare, and didn't really have that many girls with guitars to look up to. And so I just thought that I would have this platform, while everybody's in quarantine, just to have that camaraderie with other girls with guitars and find some new girls with guitars and just kind of jam and have those conversations that people don't usually get to hear because they're usually had in the studio. So being on a live stream, just talking about influences. I've had Sheryl Crow and Willow Smith, Tori Kelly, Alessia Cara. There's a bunch of names that I hope to have. I've had a lot of legends, which has been really cool. And Melissa Etheridge, like just a bunch of really, really dope girls with guitars. And I think people forget, like, we're out here and it's important to show love. And there's upcoming artists too. So the fact that I get to have a platform to have those girls with guitars be heard, it's been really dope.
Well, someone is actually asking, can you imagine that as a festival, a girls with guitar festival?
Would be amazing, honestly. I mean, I'm sure it'll become something much bigger because it started off as just a small idea, like, hey, let me just, jam with some people on live. I'm bored at home, like, might as well make the most of it. So now it's become something bigger.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because you play the guitar. Is that your first instrument, guitar, or is piano your first?
There's pictures of me, sitting in my dad's lap at 2, playing piano. So I don't know if that was really my first instrument. I think piano might have been my very first instrument. Because I learned how to play the guitar when I was like 7 years old. But it's definitely become like my favorite as of now.
I saw you, I don't know what this was, recently, and you were playing the piano. And I see energy. So I saw an energy. Then I saw you playing the guitar. Tell me, what is the difference in the experience? Because you definitely have a different, your piano persona is very different from your guitar persona. Do you know that?
Yeah. I guess I don't know what it is. I honestly couldn't explain that to you. I think it's another voice, so it would definitely be different. The piano is a different voice. It's almost like the foundation, and I think with the guitar, I prefer to sing with the guitar and kind of be more the center of attention with the guitar. And with the piano, it's almost like it's making my voice sound differently, than the guitar would, and it's almost like a different kind of accompaniment, if that makes sense.
Okay, I could see the energy flow was very different on the guitar and the piano, and I would have thought the guitar was your first instrument. I mean, the way you stood into that thing, I said, ooh.
You said that you wanted to learn more instruments. Why is that?
I don't know. I just want to find new ways of expression, and also because I'm a producer, I just think it would be really cool to incorporate other instruments on my records with me playing them, and just learning how to do different things and just have different sounds that aren't necessarily in the computer, just come out.
I love it. Someone wants to know if you have a spiritual practice.
Well, I pray. I'm growing closer to God every day. I've kind of been confused as a child. My mother was Catholic. My father was Jehovah's Witness, and I was going to a Christian school when I was very young. So I've kind of had this melting pot of different beliefs, and now that I'm older, I found that I'm more spiritual than I am religious, and that I believe that right and wrong at the end of the day is something everybody knows. It doesn't matter your religion, and it's about what you do on a daily basis, and that connection, your personal connection with God, than it is about a group of people or other people.
Well, you may not have a practice. You may not have a practice, but you got a connection. Let me tell you.
Exactly.
I've seen it.
Prayer is a practice.
Yeah.
Prayer is a practice, for sure.
I pray before every single show with my team, and we sing a lot of gospel songs when we warm up for our shows, and that keeps me real connected.
Who's your favorite gospel artist right now?
Oh, well, Yolanda Adams would definitely be number one. She's amazing as a person and a singer. She's probably one of my favorite vocalists ever. And Kim Burrell, too. They're like top two for me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, Tina, you got a question?
Yeah. Just a couple of more. There's a woman here who, she says, you seem so poised and mature. What are some lessons you've learned from the women in your life that has helped you help to shape you into who you are today?
Listen, one of the biggest things I can say is I've learned from a lot of the women around me and their mistakes. And that's really what it is. I'm the type of person, if I see the outcome or if I know for sure, where one path leads, I'm not going to take it. And I try to learn from other people's mistakes. And some things you have to experience for yourself, but not to get too specific, but I like to learn from other people's mistakes and the stories that they tell me.
Yeah.
No need to walk down that road if you don't have to. If you can learn from someone else having walked down that road, right?
Exactly. And I think another thing as a woman, sometimes social media and just media can put out a idea or some type of mold of what a woman should be, and sometimes we forget, that we come in all different shapes and sizes and colors and personalities and beliefs and all these different things, and it's important to know that there is no mold, there is no right answer or right way that a woman should be. So I just stick to what I am, what I believe, and who I am, and that's what keeps me, focused. And I learned that from a lot of the women around me.
That's beautiful. Someone's really curious about your reptiles. You mentioned reptiles. How many reptiles do you have?
Okay, as of now, I have 4 reptiles. Yes.
Okay. What are
snakes, lizards? What are we talking about? So, snakes, lizards?
Say that again.
I said, what are we talking about? Snakes? What kind?
Yeah. I have 3 snakes. Oh, I don't want to tell you what kind, but they're boas. Different types of boas.
I love snakes. No, it don't freak me out. I think snakes are absolutely divine.
And I have a bearded dragon.
I live out in the country, and so, there comes that time when they have to shed. So I always find snake skins everywhere. And then I had a black snake. His name was Alexander. He would come out and he ate my squirrels. He would chase the squirrels around and eat the squirrels. So, but I don't have a problem with snakes. I love snakes.
I love them. People say they're unpredictable, but I know when they don't want to be messed with.
Yeah. What's the other one? You have 3 snakes and what else?
And a bearded dragon.
A bearded dragon.
Yeah.
Now what's a bearded dragon?
It's a lizard.
How big is the bearded dragon, and how long have you had him?
This big, about 2.5, almost 3 years.
And how big is he fully grown already?
Oh, she's almost full grown completely. The tail gets pretty long.
And what does she eat?
Bugs and kale and apples.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say she was a vegetarian, but I guess bugs are meat, right?
Yeah. It's protein.
And did your love of reptiles start young? Like when you were a little girl?
Young. Well, I've always loved all animals. They're just the easiest to take care of because I don't really have time for like a dog or anything or a cat since I'm always on the road. But since I was a little girl, like my mom's from the Philippines and my dad grew up in Arkansas. So they're both like just used to like animals and a garden. And I just love nature. And I used to want a snake when I was a kid, but my mom is like super afraid of them, so that just never happened. So when I got older and I got my own place, I was like, I'm getting a snake. But we had everything. We had a pond with fish, we had bunnies, we had birds, dogs, cats, everything.
Yeah. I had a turtle. His name was Billy. I rescued him, and I've had him a while, but he got pneumonia, and he had a calcium deficiency. So 2 weeks ago, I had to take him to the amphibian rescue place because I was not going to be giving him injections and stuff and putting him under the light and holding him to my bosom.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry to hear
because
that, Iyanla.
yeah, I had to because I couldn't provide him with the care that he needed, and I didn't want anything to happen to him. But he had a calcium. How did the turtle get pneumonia? Who knew?
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, well, at least I had enough sense to take him to the doctor, right?
Yeah, yeah. I had just met him. Literally, I think you
Yeah.
had just talked to me
Just-
about him about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'm definitely sorry to hear that. So, of course, our time with you is winding down, but there are two questions here, and one of them has come up more than once. So I'm going to ask you about your sunglasses. Who are your favorite sunglasses? Because you
The
do
ones that
glasses, girl. You be rocking some glasses.
some cases, I collaborated with this really dope charitable company called Diff, and they provided eyesight and like vision exams for a lot of different people who can't, necessarily do that on their own. So it's been really dope to create my own. But yeah, I have all different types of glasses. I love them. I lose them a lot, so I don't really know how many I have at this point.
Love that. I hope that I'm in your space at some point when you happen to put them down, and then you'll go and look for them, and you'll wonder where they are, and I'll be gone. So last question, which Prince song will you remake?
Who said I was gonna remake a person? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I've honestly, I just did the tribute and I did Beautiful Ones, and that's one of my favorite songs. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. I did the tribute to him, and it was really dope to work with Sheila E. and Jimmy Jam and the time. Like that was really crazy. So definitely Beautiful Ones was my favorite.
Yeah, he was amazing, and you are amazing. I just want to, as I guess an elder in the community, just bless you that you be blessed in the city, you be blessed in the country, your coming in will be blessed, and your going out will be blessed. And that you continue to stay grounded in your authentic voice, and that no hurt, harm, or danger come near you from the inside or the outside. You are a brilliant light, and I will continue to hold you and bless you.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. Thank you.
Indeed, you are a light. We thank you so much for having spent time with us. Our audience has enjoyed it for sure. And yeah, much, 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 much light to you.
Thank you for having me. Really nice.
One last thing before you go. What kind of ice cream do you like?
Chocolate ice cream. Any kind of chocolate ice cream. Don't hate.
I'm a
chocolate ice cream. Oh, okay.
Okay.
I also like coconut. Anything coconut, that's also my favorite.
Okay.
Someone is asking if you would just sort of give advice to the women who are watching. What advice would you give them?
Man, trust your gut, trust your instincts, and don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Just tell yourself you're the best at what you do, and just only try to be better than yourself, not anybody else.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
But keep on blessing you, girl. You take, and when you see me, don't act like you don't know me. I'll be the one that's screaming.
That ain't me. That ain't me. All right.
Thank you, H.E.R, for sharing time with us. Appreciate it. For
you.
sure.
Thank you.
Now, she's a light, you know. I'll tell you one of the things that is exciting about this generation that's coming of performers is that they're not being pigeonholed as one thing. They
Yeah.
are saying, I can do it all and I don't have to pick and choose. And you know, the industry used to require that of us. You could only be this or you could only be that.
I think it's beautiful, and understanding this industry, I just really want to hold them tightly because the next big thing will kick them out. So I don't get a sense that her H.E.R. uh, attachment is to the industry, but her
Absolutely.
investment is in her music. So she
Absolutely.
will always make music because someone it's her today, it'll be him tomorrow, and them next week, and then they'll just kick you out. But it sounds like her commitment is to her artistry as opposed to the fame and the fortune.
I think that again, the way things are changing and the way young musicians are changing the industry for sure, is that they're building their base outside of someone else's control.
Yeah.
And when you can have your own audience who's coming to you directly, it lets you have a whole lot more latitude and break rules.
Yeah.
A lot
Well,
of people
Prince,
are afraid to break
remember
rules.
when Prince remember when Prince broke from his label and he went online and dropped his album, and then you have Dr. Dre who sold his albums out of the back
Yes,
of his car. So it's
yes.
been coming because it's really hard to be yourself the way other people want you to be. I know that even in television or it's one thing if you're playing a role, but if you're showing up and your gift, your talent, your skill is about who you are authentically, and they still want to produce that, shape it and mold it. And she's so young. I just have to keep praying.
Yeah, yeah. I will say that that's one of the pieces of Dave Chappelle's story that I enjoy so much is when you are doing what you do
Yeah.
because you have to do it and you are not attached to the fame,
Yeah.
then you can walk away from other people's dictates and still um, be on purpose. As long as the
Yeah.
money doesn't start to dictate and drive the decision making, one really can have a sense of power and autonomy in spite of the way in which this business tries to control you with money.
Well, Dave Chappelle is another one. I think Prince, the love of the craft, the
Yes,
mastery of the
that's
craft, the
that's right.
love of the artistry, I
That's
believe, is what drove them. And that's something that I noticed about the pandemic, because there were a lot of people who were out there doing things to be noticed, for the fame, for the fortune. And for me, the good things about the pandemic was everything that we had started worshiping, the fame, the celebrity. People do 5 minutes on a reality show and they think they're a star, or how this industry will prostitute people's pain and take the darkest side of human nature and turn it into a reality show. And
yeah.
all of that stopped in its tracks. So even going back into the industry, things are going to have to be different, and I'm glad about it.
I am too. I am too. Okay, well, our next guest hails from Snow Hill, North Carolina.
North
She's a
Carolina,
fierce
yeah.
hip hop artist who probably happens to be one of your favorite MCs. And this lyricist happens to be a beautiful Black woman. Now, I have to admit that I don't know much about hip hop, but I'm learning. And
Oh,
when I have
shame on you.
I don't. But I admit it. And here's the thing that's exciting is that I intend to be the kind of human being that can learn. No matter how old I get, I can learn. And this young lady, Rhapsody, as she is called, is a formidable force. I loved watching video after video. She is fly. She's got a message, and she is using her powerful voice to uplift women. Rhapsody, thank you so much for joining us here at Love for a Distance.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. How are y'all doing?
So
We're
very
good, and I know a lot about hip hop. And what I appreciate about you is I understand what you're saying, because there was a little period there when the hip hop people. What did he say? What did he say? I like the beat, but what did he say?
What did he say?
I can understand what you're saying. So good. Thank you so much.
I don't always understand. I do have a hearing challenge. I don't always understand the words, but I understand the feeling.
Feeling.
I
Yes.
understand the power and the way in which you step into a song. It is like I'm bringing everything, not just everything that's here, but I'm bringing everything that came before me and I'm putting it all on the table right now. That I can feel it.
Yeah.
100%. And that's the beautiful thing about music and hip hop. You can go all around the world and we speak different languages, but we all connect through feeling. I've done shows in South Africa and Europe and Japan where they don't even speak English at all, but the shows are packed because they feel the music. And that's one thing about, Black music in general is you never lose that soul part. And I think we're all connected through the soul of it. Like you say, whether you understand the metaphors or the similes, you understand the feeling of what it is and what is embodied in that. So that's what I love about the culture.
Why hip hop? Did it
Why?
fall upon you? Did you fall in love with it? Why hip hop?
I did fall in love with it. I don't remember what exact song it was, what I was doing. It was a plethora of things that happened at the same time. MC Light's Poor Georgie song was the first one I fell in love with that was about storytelling. And MC Light was basically telling a story about a guy who had got drunk and he made all these bad decisions. But just the art of how she connected words and music and told this beautiful message, the power of words to play with it is what I loved about hip hop. I love the artistry and the videos that I saw. And it was something where, I love Michael Jackson, but I can't hold a note to save my life. So it was something that I felt like I could be a part of. I can't sing, but I could play with words. I could write poetry. I could tell these stories, and I could be a part of the culture and a part of music and art and express myself in my own way. And that's what hip hop is. It's about celebrating individuality and telling our stories and being the griots, telling what's happening in our communities, as well as celebration and dancing. So that's why I fell in love with hip hop.
Who are your foremothers? Or your forefathers when you think about hip hop and how you express? Who do you look at?
Wow. Well, mine starts with the women. MC Light, Queen Latifah, Lauryn Hill. They're my
Yeah.
foundation. Everything that I saw and I wanted to be as far as what a woman looked like in hip hop, I learned from them. They were my foundation. I'm a big Jay-Z fan. I love the wordplay that he embodied. He could take a metaphor and put so much into two lines that you could teach a whole course on just two bars in a hip hop song. I love the power in that. Yeah, so yeah, I love that from him. I love Biggie. I love Nas, Missy Elliott. There's so many, but even outside of hip hop, I like to say that I'm well rounded with a multitude of people. I'm a big fan of Cicely Tyson and Felicia Rashad. When I look at who I want to be in my art, I look to them and what they did with their art as well. They inspire me as well. Nikki Giovanni, Maya Angelou. Again, how do we play with these words and tell these stories? Like I look to them, to learn even how to write music. So those are my forefathers and mothers in this culture.
Yeah. I mean, Nikki, to me, Nikki, she's the queen of the word.
Say
Nikki
it,
Giovanni.
say it.
Yeah, and I know people will find this very strange that I'll say it, but for me, I think one of also hip hop brilliant mind is DMX. His
I'm with
lyrics,
you.
he is
Yes.
brilliant, brilliant.
His
I have
lyrics,
to give him his props. Yeah.
yes, and
So
his performance, the way he performs his music
yeah,
too, it pierces through. I met him one time in New York. I'm still green behind the ears, and he said, let me hear something, and I rapped, and he came back and gave me the knowledge. He was like, it's nice, but you got to really perform it. It's got to come from inside, and that's something that I'll never forget. Because to tell our stories, we have to believe it, and to believe it, you have to let that out emotionally.
what is your story
Yeah.
that you tell through your music? What is your story?
I think the core of my story is one, believing in yourself. That's something big, and knowing that you are enough. That was something I struggled with early in my artistry, feeling like I had to find a place to fit in with everything that was trendy and going on. And I forgot the core of what it is you are enough as you are. Tell your story, and your honesty, because you speak for a multitude of people that can relate to that. So, mine is always show up as you are, and as well as for women in hip hop, we're at a place where it's not like it was when I saw MC Light and Queen Latifah and Lauren, where you felt like women had a space to coexist together and to really have a village. So, my other story is that as a woman, you are just as good as any man, and that you don't have to dim your light to your other sister to shine bright. We all have a space and a lane in this culture. So that's part of my story. Believing in yourself, knowing that you're enough, never letting anybody box you in on how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to rap. Be true to yourself.
Yeah. Talk to me about Black music, period, because this is, African American Music Month. And, as a young artist, because I come out of the Nat King Cole, Sam Cooke era.
Yes.
So
Oh,
when Black music was, it was just gold. What do
yeah.
you feel about Black music today?
Um, Man, it's still the most powerful genre I think that exists. You know, music and Black music has done more sometimes for race relations than anything else, and bringing people together. Again, it's the voice of the people, of the unheard. Through the soul, through the rock and roll, through the country that started with us, to hip hop, to neo soul. It's just something about the 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 culture that we have, the love that we have, the soul in us that connects, a world and a generation. And it's our pain that comes through that. It's our celebration. You even think back in history. Let's take it all the way back to Africa. How we use music to tell our history, how we use music to communicate with each other. When we made it to America and we were slaves, we use Negro spirituals to tell everybody, "Hey, we out at 5:30, or when it's dark, and we're gonna go north. We're gonna go this way." Music is our communication. It's our storytelling. It's our way to relate our pain and our happiness and our joy. It's the way that we celebrate. So that's what I think about music. Black music. It's just ingrained in who we are, um, so much.
Wow.
What are you most surprised about in terms of your success and being part of this legacy now?
Wow, what am I
Surprised
surprised
and
about?
surprised and proud.
Surprised and proud. Um, it's hard to say what I'm surprised about, but I think what I'm proud about is, just to be able to lend my voice and be a part of history and communicate and a culture that, hopefully, like so many open doors for me, I have the opportunity to open doors for so many people. And, that I didn't have to compromise who I was. I didn't have to compromise the way I dressed. I'm a tomboy. I love sneakers. I love baggy shirts. I didn't have to compromise that. I didn't have to compromise my art. And I wear that on my shoulder proud. And I'm happy and I'm proud to be an example for those that, felt like they did, to show that you don't have to do that. But I don't know what I'm surprised about, to be honest. I just, I take every day one day at a time, and I have a vision and a goal, and I stick forward and just try to press forward on what I want to do and accomplish. So,
We were just talking to her, and, I said it happened quick, in terms of the public spotlight. We didn't see the 10, 12 years behind the scenes, and people forget about that. They're looking at you today, and we see Rhapsody today. I didn't know you were a tomboy. I don't get that at all. I'm just that.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. We're gonna come up with a new name for it. We're not gonna call it a tomboy. We're gonna call it a Betty girl or something.
A Betty girl. I like that. Indeed.
Yeah.
Maybe that is what I'm surprised about. Coming into it, you don't know how long that it takes you. It's really, in the words of Nipsey Hussle, it's really a marathon. There's not an artist that I don't know that becomes a legacy artist that's around 20 years that hasn't put in 10,000 hours, 10 years of work. That was surprising because, coming in, you think, oh, I'm going to make this mixtape and everybody's going to love it. I'm going to get signed and I'm going to, have everything that I've ever dreamed of and I thought that I wanted. A lot of times you come in and thinking you want something, and when you get into it, you're like, nah, let me go back to the core of really what happiness and creating and being a creative is. So that was surprising, but yeah, it was good at the same time.
Yeah. You have that facial structure. You remind me a lot of Nipsey. I don't know. Maybe y'all come from the same village.
We might.
Yeah.
You're not the only one that's told me that.
Yeah, you do. You all come from the same village. You have questions for Rhapsody?
Yes, I absolutely do. But, a question comes to my mind. Iyanla was mentioning, and of course, with us both being in the entertainment industry, we do know that it's a long haul, and we know how vicious and difficult this industry can be. And I'm just curious as to whether or not what are your thoughts around being here for 20 years, and how do you take care of yourself? How do you plan to take care of yourself in the journey?
My thoughts of being around for 20 years on that is, just continuing to be authentic. The reason why these artists that are legacy artists and are able to be around so long is because they always create from an authentic place. If I continue to always show up as Rhapsody or Marlena Evans, who I was born, I know that there's no other me. I can't be a Lauryn Hill. I can't be an MC Light. I can't be a Jay-Z. All I could be is myself. And you can't make another me. So I think as an artist, when you come in this game and you continue to create from an authentic place and show up as you are, that sets you apart. That gives you your own lane. As well as, making sure that you have people around you that love you and that are going to protect you. It is a vicious business, and, you want to remain educated. You want to have people around that you can trust. So one thing I've stuck close to is keep a tight circle. That's important. And that's also important for, your mental, just to remain happy. The good thing about the pandemic that I've been able to do this year, and I'm sure a lot of other artists, it allowed us to stop and slow down, because we got in a space that everything was moving so fast. And, I felt myself every day just struggling to keep up. And then, once you get in this cycle of always trying to keep up, you kind of lose your footing a little bit. I felt myself losing my footing, just being mentally tired. So it made me sit back and say, there's some things that are okay to say no to, that you always don't feel like you have to do this, you have to do that to keep up. Because as long as you have a vision for what you want to do and remain your authentic self, you work towards your goal and not, trying to be the next person and reach their level of fame or their level of notoriety, because what's meant for you is meant for you, and everybody's path and way through this business is not going to look the same. You know, and also making sure that I take time for myself, you know, to block out time, whether it be an hour a day, 2 hours a day, 2 days a week, or a month, you know, just to get back to myself, to center myself, to sit and meditate, you know, to pamper yourself, to read, and just love on yourself, because that's important. It's, you have to water yourself and able to wake up and be able to continue to give so much to the world and to the culture. So that's what I've been focusing on a lot lately.
Wow.
Yeah. And how do you take care of yourself in that hour or two that you grab for yourself? How do you take care of yourself?
As what I've been doing lately is, you know, I wake up in the morning, first, you know, say your prayers. That was one thing I used to do so much, and I got away from it. And also reading, you know, I've been reading The Law of Divine Compensation, you know, and learning a lot about self-love, and how to be your own best friend, you know, and just tapping into that. So I study a lot too. And I sit in silence. Sometimes I'll just sit, no TV on. I'll turn my phone off. The biggest thing for me is turning my phone off, and just putting on some jazz and just sitting in silence, you know, and just, you know, being one with yourself, you know, going, what do you think? Or, you know, contemplating on things. So, you know, that's me. I just make time to have alone time for myself. But other things I calendar in is like, you know, after so many days of traveling, I'll need a weekend to go to the beach and I just want to smell the ocean sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
common to me. So those are some things. And lastly, I think I make sure I make time to go home and visit my family. Because for me, the beautiful thing about that, I come from a very small town in North Carolina. I think the population now may be 1,800 people. But there's something about going home to where, you know, I'm just Marlena, with my family. It grounds me and it humbles me. And, you know, I don't forget who I am and why I even began this journey. And that always brings me back to my zero, to my center as well. It replenishes and waters me in its own way. So those are the three main things that I focus on for, you know, for my mental health.
Let me ask you a question, Rhapsody, because on your last album, Eve, that was your last album, right? You titled
Yes.
songs after Black women who had broken barriers. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you were going to do that today, are there any women you would add to that list?
Oh, yes. I mean, you just got off with H.E.R. I love her. That's my sister. She definitely would have a track on the album. As well as Yara Shahidi. I'm a big fan of her. To be so young and to be so vocal, and as the leader that she is, she inspires me so much. Janelle Monáe, Alicia Keys, Beverly Bond, Tracy Ellis Ross, Iyanla. You are one as well. Misha Hilton. Yeah, most definitely. Those are some of the new voices I think that I would add. Cardi B. I'm a big fan of Cardi B. Beyonce. So yeah, those are some of the voices you know, that I would look to. There's also some writers, Raina Biddy, who's a poet, who reminds me of a younger Nikki Giovanni mixed with Maya Angelou. You know, I just love her writing, and someone new in that space of poetry and writing. She's somebody I definitely would give a whole song to. But yeah.
Beautiful. You know what I think is so refreshing after speaking to both her and now you're a little older than her, but just to hear how articulate and well versed and well read, you know, because the world, I mean, we know Queen Latifah, and because the female rap artists out there, I think that aren't out there as much as they were back then. That people have a different perspective of, you know, female rap, you know, how they put us in that little box. So kudos to you. Kudos to you for really just bringing a different energy to it. Thank you. It's really refreshing.
Thank you.
And I tell you, I'm gonna go back and look at some of your things, because I've been looking at you. I would have never thought you was a tomboy.
I am, Miss. I love basketball and all those things that they say that tomboys are.
Oh
So,
my
yes.
gosh. Okay. Well, you're gonna be a Betty
Now,
girl. You're not gonna
do
be no
you
tomboy.
how do you deal with, or do you experience a pressure of responding a particular way on your platforms? You know, social media can be your friend, but it can also
Mhm.
turn on you. So how do you navigate that?
Yeah, that's one thing I've been very cautious about because, I have my opinions on a myriad of things. And we live in a day where people are very reactionary. And we live in a day where this newer generation, because of the education system and how things have changed, everybody wasn't taught necessarily how to critically think and comprehend through things. It's just all reaction and off of emotion. So, with me, a lot of times I'll sit and I'll think about what I want to say and how I need to word it so it's not misconstrued and people understand. And you have, times that people still miss the message of what you're saying, but at the same time I always say, well, I know my intent in anything that I do, and I always want to speak from an honest place. And it creates a space to have conversation. I've always been told that, if you say something and it's not disruptive, and if it doesn't create conversation, then was it really worth it? So I welcome the challenge, and people being critical of me being critical of other people, but it all starts in conversation, and coming at it from a humble place of we're all trying to learn and hopefully get to the truth of any matter, because the truth is the most important thing that I think that we should all seek is truth and knowledge.
Yeah. And had we been a little more open to conversation and to truth, maybe George
Hmm.
Floyd would be alive today, because there was
Amen.
conversations that needed to be had and truths that needed to be spoken. But the minute you spoke
Hmm.
them, or the minute you said something, you were beat down, torn down, and a lot of that still
Exactly.
goes on today. But baby, the truth is marching. She is
Yes.
marching.
That's
She's
right. You can't turn away from the truth now.
she is, and
Yes.
she's marching in a G string.
and and
Yes,
white
she
high
is.
heel boots.
Flashing. Uh,
Right.
I,
Love
I
it.
have to
I
tell
love
you, I have to tell you, Rhapsody, that there is a joy in you that is infectious. I feel
Thank
that
you.
there is an aliveness. I like to think of it in terms of a thriving energy. And is that something that you've cultivated, or, did you come here like that? If you could speak to that, that'd be wonderful.
Man, that's something that I hear from a lot of people, and I don't even think about it because I just think it's naturally how I came into this world. And I'm sure a lot of things shape that. The village that I grew up in, the town that I grew up in. I was raised in a village. My mom was one of 13. Raised in a village of sister aunts that raised me. I was the youngest granddaughter, so I was the kid that always didn't have the voice, and I just always sat and listened. But I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. But I've been so open to learning so much. I went to a high school with white kids, black kids, Mexican kids, and it was just a way for me to learn to appreciate everybody and their voice. And at the end of the day, I love people, and I love good energy, and I love to give love, and to help everybody that I can. So that's just something that's always been instilled in me. It was always the music that I gravitated to. It was always the films that I saw. That's why I love Cicely Tyson and Felicia Rashad so much, because everything I saw that caught my attention was about love, and in being classy and being strong and being joyful, and to be about bringing people together and uplifting people. And those were the people that always inspired me. And I was like, that's the light and the energy that I want to admit as I continue to grow and I continue to learn every day. So yeah,
Do you
I
want to
think,
do
yeah,
other
that's
do you want to do other things in music besides perform?
I do. Not just even in music, just as being an artist. I want to create and tell stories. I told people, I've always wanted to write films and to produce documentaries, because there are so many stories that I hear that, I want to tell in a different way outside of music. I want to get into acting. I want to learn, that role. I want to be a writer. I want to write books, specifically children's books. Growing up, the first thing my mom and dad got me, my brothers and sisters, was a library card. And that did so much for me. And just being in a small town, it allowed me to go around the world through what I read. So, that was always important for me. Like, wow, I want to write stories too for the next generation, who may have grown up like I did and may not be able to travel the world like, some kids that have to leave the world through art, through music, through videos, through books. So, there are so many things artistically that I want to tap into. I want to learn about photography, and capturing these moments and, us as people. And other than that, I want to learn how to play the piano. That's always been at the top of my list.
Me too.
But yes.
I had a baby grand sitting in my living room that I've been trying to learn how to play for 20 years.
It ain't going nowhere. So when you're ready, it's gonna be there.
I think if we're living right, we all get to learn until we close our eyes for the last time,
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So is there anything in particular that you'd like to share with our audience as we come to an end today?
I guess I would like to leave everybody with, your voice is the most powerful thing that you have. Whether we're talking about in these times of, us using our voice to create change, to talk about things that are meaningful to us, or is you using your voice to tell your own story, to show up for yourself. Your voice is powerful. Use that. Always be yourself and show up as yourself, and lead with love at all times.
That's a beautiful message.
Thank you, Rhapsody. I'm going to keep on this old geezer. I'll keep on watching you because, like I said, I understand what you're saying.
Yes, I'm going to have to come over and we're going to have to learn the piano together.
Okay, all right.
It was a pleasure.
Much love. Thank you so much.
A pleasure. Thank you so much for coming.
Right.
I loved it. I love it. Yeah, both her and her.
Yes.
It's so good to talk to these young artists, to hear how clear, how grounded, how articulated they are. And I think that because of the pandemic, they're going to have an opportunity to kind of create how they be in this industry in a way that they may not have had they just been in the grind of it. So it's really good. Yeah. But we got to get you into the hip hop.
Yeah, she spoke to that. One of the things that I loved in the interview with Rhapsody is how often I wish I had thought to start counting from the moment she came on, but she said love, more than a dozen times. Yeah. And her language was peppered with energy words, and you could tell that energy actually coursed through her. And I think that's a really great sort of model about some of the science that's coming out around happiness and how important it is that we be conscious of the words that we use. I know you talk about that often, but specifically when it comes to happiness, that our health, our well-being, our longevity, all of it is increased the more we spend time in those higher vibrations of hope and love and curiosity. That's a word that you used, and I think it's mentioned a couple of times. Say again, gratitude.
Gratitude, and if people could grasp that and take their power back, it would be really, really wonderful, because the day of somebody coming to save you is over. If you don't know that by now, and even if they're coming, you got to be in a certain consciousness to recognize them. So yeah, language is so important. I am on the I am express, because that's your creative power. I am. and really supporting people and recognizing what they attach to that I am. Because once you I am or I'm, however you say it, that thing is going to be created in your life. So I'm scared, I'm tired, I'm broke, I'm this, I'm that. No, 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 no.
Yeah, and I loved, that she really got animated around her message being "I am enough," because I think it speaks to people giving themselves the permission to actually accept themselves as they are. That you have something that you bring to the table, and what you bring to the table, the way you bring it to the table, no one else can do. And so, what does it mean to give yourself permission to accept that about yourself? And just these ladies were inspiring for me, and
we've got good juicy guests for next week too, right?
I actually let's see.
Do we have
I actually don't know who our guest for next week is. I know that the entire month is Black Music Month, and celebration
one of the Marleys. I know we're gonna have Lettucey. I know we're gonna have somebody else I saw. But anyway, we're gonna love you from a distance each week with somebody good. How about that?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so on that note, we just want to say to our loved ones, thank you for bringing your energy to our virtual studio audience. We are praying for your safety and for your well-being, no matter where you are in the world. And once again, as always, we ask that wherever you are, share the love.
Share the love. Deep bow of love to you. Deep bow.
Thank you, Iyanla. Great to be with you again. Bye.